Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Pete Erickson, the founder of Modev, and I'm the creator of the Voice series of events, including Voice Summit, Voice Talks, and Voice Global. This is part of our thought leadership series where we're talking to founders of companies that are on the cutting edge doing interesting things. And today, my guest and his wife, they're a husband and wife team that are a force to be reckoned with in the healthcare space. They co-founded and successfully exited a company called Heal, which makes house calls possible for any home. Really amazing company and platform. And they've now founded HeyRenee, which is looking to disrupt the way that healthcare works through the use of our voice. I am pleased to bring up Nick Desai, the co-founder of HeyRenee. Nick, welcome.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here and talk to all of you today, and thanks for taking the time.
Oh, certainly. And I want to thank you again for giving that outstanding keynote at Voice Summit 2021. We were sad that you couldn't be there in person, but I have to tell you, for being remote, the room was silent. You could hear a pin drop. And I think people are ready to see the healthcare landscape get disrupted through conversational AI. So thanks again for that keynote.
It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And I wish I could have been there in person, but with the surging COVID that we never seem to get over.
I have to tell you, and I think that we've been having a lot of conversations about our 22 event, and
Mm.
I am highly confident that by this fall, that when I say collectively we, I mean society, will be in a much different position than we were this fall. We were caught once again off guard, and we won't go down
This
that rabbit hole right now.
we won't, but I will say 2 years in, we should not be being caught off guard.
Listen,
The fact that viruses mutate should not be news to us.
no, trust me. I think we could definitely go on about that. But let's get back
Yes,
to HeyRenee. And I think that one thing that's really
absolutely.
cool, I mentioned at the introduction here, that you and your wife are a force to be reckoned with. She's a physician, and she is the Renee of HeyRenee.
She is
Um,
indeed.
Tell me a little bit about that partnership and the last company you founded, and how you found yourself
Yeah.
working so well together.
So Renee and I are husband and wife. We've been married for 14 years, and 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago now, I guess, we started. She was a practicing nephrologist, and I was a sure before Heal and Hey Renee. I've done three venture funded startups. I was the CEO of one of them, and we had a life experience trying to get healthcare for one of our children that really shifted our understanding of healthcare as consumers, and that led us to come up with the idea for Heal, and we created it. Founded the company in October of 2014. I was CEO from day one through February of 2021, and she was chief medical officer. We built the company literally from me driving her to do house calls to 200 doctors, 10 states, $200 million in funding. Um,
Wow.
25 insurance partners. And it took us a little while to adjust to working with each other. We were happily married. During that time, we already had one little boy, and during the time of running Heal, we had two other little children, and they grew up with the company, and here we are. So now
Wow.
we love working together. We can't imagine not working together.
What a great story. I just love it. I love it. And I'm pleased that you're still married through a company. I know that's very, very that can be challenging as well. And
You
I've had
know,
several
I'll
business
say
partners.
I'll say we're better friends
Yeah.
and better and I've had business partners, excuse me, that weren't my wife, and I will tell you the one thing. I think my wife's a phenomenal physician, and I'm not. I'm an engineer and a tech person.
Right.
I think my wife has a phenomenal attention to detail in areas I don't and won't think
Yeah.
about. I think my wife is someone I can trust completely. I know that, right?
Yeah.
We have kids together. There's no
Right.
challenge we're going to face in the workplace that's bigger than the challenge of raising three kids, and that is what keeps. So we're better off for it.
Well, I think that it's kudos to both of you. I mean, I think that it is true. Running a company is a marriage in many regards, and I've watched a lot of those company marriages fail.
Yep.
And so I think you found a magical formula here. So let's talk about Hey Renee. You started Heal to make home house calls available to every home. Why Hey Renee, and why now?
Well, so Heal focused on making actual healthcare easier to get, primary care. You get a doctor to come to your house 7 days a week, right? Now, as we spent 7 years working on Heal, and as we saw as the pandemic came along, and we saw the explosion of health tech point solutions, right? There are apps for everything in health tech now, for my heart disease, for my diabetes, for my obesity, for my mental health, for my prescription delivery, for urgent care, for primary care, for musculoskeletal issues, right? But the chances are, if I'm an aging American with chronic disease, I actually have all those issues. So what am I supposed to do? Sign up for 8 different apps, right?
Mm,
Most people aren't even signing up for one. And so we realize that there's incredible and digital. So that's the sort of the problem statement, right?
right.
The the solution statement is that digital health can unify, integrate, and deliver care more easily to the people who need the most care in the most cost-effective way. That's the true power of digital health, right? The internet has been shown, once rural and lower income Americans have it, to disproportionately their ability to get access to education, to content, to services, to better jobs. In the same way, that can happen in healthcare. And that's what we want to be an enabling force of. And so, what we want to do, what we do at Hey Renee, is bring together. We Imagine your doctor is an architect of a care plan. Take these medications, see these specialists, get these tests, do these behavior changes, etc. But then you also have a specialist, and you also have a mental health professional, and you also have this, and you also need to take 8 daily medications or 10 daily medications, and measure your blood pressure and measure your blood sugar. We're going to curate all that for you in one intuitive, delightful interface where we primarily use voice because 75% of Americans have a seventh grade or lower reading level. Okay.
Mm,
100% of Americans can talk. I said this at your event, right?
right.
And voice is a universal interface. So
Right.
imagine talking to an Alexa and saying, it telling you reminding you what medications to take, it asking you if you've measured your blood pressure. You can say it and it records with Hey Renee. So, literally, in my own case, I used Hey Renee to, my doctor diagnosed me with high blood pressure. It's managed and all that, but diagnosed with high blood pressure. She said, take this medication and then call me in a month, but measure your blood pressure every day because it doesn't always work.
Right.
I said, no. I used Hey Renee. Hey Renee delivered had the medication delivered to my house, then reminded me to take it every evening
Right.
because it's a nighttime medication. Then reminded me to measure my blood pressure. Then took my blood pressure um, and reported it to my doctor, who found out that the medication wasn't working, changed the medication, and voila, my blood pressure is managed.
Wow.
And we did all that with a voice interface, all that in an intuitive way. And so what we do is we don't look at a patient as a diabetic or a hypertensive. We look at them as Juanita Gomez or Joan Smith or Jack Smith or whatever. And we treat them as human beings, integrating
Right.
all aspects of their care with their cultural and social context to give them a personal, daily, interactive, curated care plan with all the in network options, all the data, all the tools working together so they spend more time being well and less time getting well.
Mm. I have to tell you, you set up the problem statement and you described how it should work. And I can tell, obviously as a health consumer as well. I mean, we've had our challenges with a child, and then we also are dealing with an aging parent who's just had heart surgery, and there's lots of medications. And you're right. It's not just the heart doctor. There's
Yep.
like four or
Yeah.
five other care providers
Yep.
involved in this loop. And
Right.
and
Exactly.
it is a lot to manage. It's a lot for my wife to manage all that care. And so
And
kudos
if you
to
don't manage across the patient, you're not going to manage vertically. You
right,
can't treat someone's diabetes without treating their mental health issues. You
right.
can't treat someone's hypertension without treating the other medications that they're taking. You can't treat their chronic pain without understanding their diabetes or obesity. Right? You have to. All these things can only be treated when they're treated together.
Amen. I understand that Hey Renee is on a roll. You guys have discovered something, and people are taking notice. So it sounds like you have some announcements that you're going to be making on the funding level, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in August of 2021, about a month after starting the company, we got our seed round of $3.8 million. And then tomorrow on January 13th, we will be announcing a seed two funding, an oversubscribed $4.4 million seed two round that we did from first pitch to funded in a week,
Wow.
led by Quiet Capital. Morgan Livermore is our partner there. Fika Ventures participated, Tau Ventures participated. We're thrilled to have them as investors. They're great value-added investors who really help us. So we were thrilled to get that done. And similarly, we also found out that we are one of the 24 finalists in the Mass Challenge Health Tech Initiative. We were selected by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in their pandemic initiative as a foundational tool to help increase health equity in the United States, which is a core founding mission of our company, which is that innovation can increase health equity.
Well, I think, by the way, huge congratulations. I've, having been a part of a lot of rounds in the past, and also knowing just a lot of founders out there, your time. I mean, we say, you close your initial seed in August, and then in January, you close a secondary seed. It speaks a lot. And by the way, these seed investors oftentimes are the most, they are the most critical when it comes to really
Yeah.
looking at the business model and making decisions. So
Yep.
it does look like you've got great traction on the Mass Challenge. Congratulations. I know that there are thousands of companies that are vying for those
Yeah.
awards, and you're one of 24 finalists. When does that, what's the duration of that competition, and when will you know more about that?
Well, so it's not like a winner at the end. There are 24 companies who are selected to be in the program. It's a 6-month sort of accelerator
Oh,
program
that's fantastic.
where companies work with different partners. Our partner is the one we most wanted, which is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services,
Sure.
Medicare, FDA, basically the government organizations that work on healthcare that collectively have a $1.6 trillion budget to positively impact healthcare in America.
And by the way, congratulations. That's fantastic. I look forward to hearing, once you come out of that accelerator, where we then go from there with
Yep.
regards to, your bright future. But yeah, I think for folks out there, and I've been close to the healthcare space, and I've worked on companies that are in the healthcare space. I even hosted a private summit of healthcare leaders in 2016 in Aspen, Colorado. So got some inside scoop on this industry. I think one thing that, people may not be aware of is that healthcare is about 20% of the overall GDP of
Yep.
America. It takes up a massive amount of our GDP.
Yep.
And I think one of the things I love about, what you did at Heal and what you're looking to do with HeyRenee is equity, is access to healthcare. And
Yep.
I think it's such a noble mission because it's so needed. And I think the one thing the pandemic has illuminated is the challenge with access, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about that from a mission standpoint, and making sure that everybody has access to quality care.
Well, look, if I live here where I live in the Pacific Palisades in California, and I'm thankfully well educated, my wife happens to be a physician, but I'll just take COVID as an example, right? We're able to buy our own tests and have them in the house.
Yes. Yes.
Before the government said they're going to give them free, first of all, no one can find the free test. But in
Right.
any case, we have molecular tests, we have antigen tests, we have
Yeah.
digital thermometers, we have doctors available to us. We have all these resources. Most people don't because they can't afford it, because they live too far away, because they don't
Yeah.
drive, because they don't speak the language, because they can't understand how to use it, because of all of those reasons.
Right.
Technology can be the bridge as it has been in so many other areas. Yes, there's a learning curve, but not if the apps are made easily. Everyone with internet access in America, and we have to solve the internet access problem in the uh, President Biden's infrastructure bill that passed addresses rural internet and access needs. But everyone should have high speed internet, and those people should have the tools. And that's how you equalize and make sure everyone has diagnostic capabilities.
Yeah.
Everyone has preventative capabilities
Yep.
because diagnostics are coming to a camera near me, right? I
Yep.
can hold up my finger and check my heart rate or my pulse ox just as much as a device can. Soon my blood pressure, soon my blood sugar. There's devices that use my voice to detect anxiety or fear or depression, right? There is services that will come to my house in 86% of American continental US that will draw my labs for me.
Right.
So then I need a doctor who's looking at that data, can talk to me. I need my prescriptions delivered. And so technology can be that bridge to equity. And we have to do that, we have to deliver it on interfaces where we think voice is critical, that that equalize the playing field, interfaces everyone can use, right? Someone asked me yesterday, "Are you going to do this on VR goggles?" And I'm like, "No, because that's for an even smaller percentage of the population than
Right.
use the web. Now you have
Right.
to buy another device and learn how to use it and all this
Right.
stuff." Whereas we want to be increasingly universal for an increasing number of people, right? More access, voice, text messaging. These are the kinds of interfaces,
Right.
and bringing healthcare to a literacy level. You know, the fact that people have a low healthcare literacy or overall literacy
Right.
is a failing of the healthcare system or the education system. It's not their personal failing for the most part.
Right.
And in that environment, we have to make healthcare easier to understand, more unified, and available on easier interfaces.
Let me make a statement and get your reaction. The healthcare industry is in a better place to adopt innovation because of the pandemic. Is there
Yeah,
anything true about that statement?
yes, that is true. The pandemic is forcing a rate of innovation. And $30 billion were invested last year in health tech. A lot of that went into large rounds for companies that did better in a virtual environment because of the pandemic and the safety issues that come with the pandemic. But I think ultimately we're going to look at health care 5 years from now in the same way that we look at commerce now, or content consumption, which is, I don't need a physical device. I don't need to go to a
Right.
store. My
Right.
kids don't know what Blockbuster is. They don't know what a DVD is,
Right.
right?
Right.
They just get everything they want and they can't
Right.
understand
On
when it's
demand. On demand.
on demand. Healthcare
Right.
has to be the same way, and it will be the same way, and it will be integrated and it will work together. If I go back to Domino's.com or Grubhub.com, it knows my last order, it knows my credit card information, it has my home address, my office address, this address saved so I can deliver food.
Yeah.
It knows all that stuff. How come my healthcare is not as efficient, as integrated, as data driven? And that's where we have to get, and I think it will get there.
Nick, I think about every time I have to see a new provider and I fill out pages on the
Yep,
clipboard
yep.
of that
Still,
document. And it's like,
still,
this is the same document I fill out every time. And I hand
yeah,
them a physical document. And I'm like,
yeah.
where does that go?
Yes, who types it in and
Who
how
types
many
it in?
mistakes are they making?
Right, because that's duplication errors. So the number one error we make as
Yeah,
human beings, and so it's we watch it happen. Well,
yeah.
listen, I have to tell you, it's an exciting story, and I'm thrilled that you and your wife are putting your hearts and souls into solving some really complex challenges and making the healthcare system more efficient and more accessible to all.
Awesome. Well, it was wonderful to speak with you, and thank you anyone who listens to this and watches. And you can find us on LinkedIn. We're Hey Renee, and I'm Nick at HeyRenee.co.
Well, Nick, thank you so much. And definitely, this is a company to follow. And can they go to Hey Renee, like you mentioned,
Or
heyrenee.com?
HeyRenee.co. Co.
Heyrenee.co. Okay,
Yep,
great. Well, we're going to follow your journey closely, Nick, and thank you again. And well, we are going to see you in person this fall.
yep. God
I
willing.
am determined. So, anyway, have a great day. Thanks a lot for taking the time, Nick.
Thank you.